What's up, guys? Politics Gaming here, and today we're doing a brand new episode of the United States of America. In the previous episode, essentially, we got to the year 2023. Let me go ahead and check on a few situations as we enter this episode. I know in the previous episode, we did embark on several nuclear power plant projects. We also have been gradually lowering the United States federal deficit. We are basically extremely close to paying off more US debt. We are also very close to essentially balancing out our economy. One of the issues that I think we're going to be fighting in this episode is that we're going to fight inflation. We need to start enacting some more aggressive policy measures in order to fight inflation. We do see that inflation is on its way up. Now, this is going to be a very unpopular move on my part, and I need to be ready to face what the consequences are going to be. So we need to go ahead and come over to police. We need to go to police, and we are going to hire about 25,000. We're going to pay them about $100 more. That's going to cost the US budget about $2 billion. We're going to send that through, and let's go ahead and see what the reaction is to that. And we do not see that there's any reaction, and we do see that a conflict flares up between Turkey and Egypt, but we will not get involved as of yet, as that is an undeclared war. We will not assassinate the president of Pakistan, not yet. But let's go ahead and look. So let's go ahead and increase our interest rate to 3%. That's going to be the highest that we have increased the interest rates in this series thus far. But let's go ahead and go over to taxation, and let's go ahead and increase. Oh, not to that. Let's go ahead and increase our value added tax to 1%. We need to go ahead and see what the reaction would be to that. It looks like that is going to be very unpopular on both sides. So let's go ahead and cancel, and let's see if I can get that to 95%. See what the reaction would be to that. So it looks like that. Let's go ahead and try 1%. And let's do that through a TV address. It's going to fetch us about $80 billion. Can we get that passed? We cannot. So it looks like that we need to do some concessions. Let's go ahead and meet up with the Green Party. So the Democrats seem to be more against it than the Green Party is, but let's go ahead and meet up with both of them. It looks like they actually both seem to like us. So let's go ahead and meet up with the Green Party first, and then we will move on to our own party. Okay, so and this is going to be a little bit more difficult. I think what we need to do, then let's go ahead and meet up with some key figures. Let's go over to Party and Power, and we are going to meet up with some smaller people. So Party and Power, we need to meet up with a contingent of people that would support our bill. And let's meet up with like 5-6 people that are going to be essential in flipping this legislation. Let's go ahead and also meet up with Cynthia Andrews Turnbull. I don't know if that's a knock on wood for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but that would be interesting if that's what that was. Okay, so we get end of year reports, budget deficit at 0.95%, and then total debt rises to $21 trillion, historic low, and then our annual reimbursement level is nearly $500 billion. But it looks like our growth has shrunk a little bit, so our inflation should hopefully start to slow down, 3.55% in contrast with the previous. Let's go ahead and pause this real quick. Previous estimate of 6%, so that should be able to kind of level off our inflation. unemployment stagnates at about 4%. We're going to have to find another way to fight inflation. This is going to be our primary way. I think we're going to also look into financial transactions. That could be another way. But I will see you guys on the other side. All right. Looks like we were unable to rally enough support behind that bill, so it may end up dying. So I think we're gonna go ahead and withdraw the bill. So the bill has been withdrawn. Next proposition day is going to be available on the 11th of February. So we have withdrawn that bill. That was I think that's the first bill that we've actually had to step down on because we were not able to get enough support for that bill, even though we did do a TV address. But that does get us restore some popularity, especially with that social meter, which is going to help us in the long run.
You have just withdrawn a bill that was being debated. No problem. The voting procedure has not yet started. The withdrawal is therefore official.
All right, that means that that our bill withdrawal was immediately taken into consideration, and we are now able to move on to other matters. So let's go ahead and look. So we could increase taxes, but that would be unpopular. I've already increased taxes once, and I don't think I'm going to plan on doing it again. Other ways that we could actually raise money and also lower growth, we could increase the company tax. We could increase the employer social security payment tax. That could work. We could also, because that would also stagnate economic growth. Let's go ahead and try to see the financial transaction tax. I think we could get a little more support on that. Possibly not. Possibly not. So we could do another TV address, but I don't know if that's gonna work the way we want it to. People's opinion. Let's continue looking. So a new tax. We could try to do a new tax. Tax on large digital companies, vehicle registration tax, redundancies. Maybe deforestation tax, which could help hurt economic growth in the agriculture sector. Declare a tax amnesty. So we're trying to lower inflation. Lower inflation. I don't know if changing the level of tax investigation could work, but we also need to work to get it to regular and repressive. Weaken tolerance. This is basically closing the tax loopholes that we have. How much support would this get into Congress if we were to introduce it? So that would get a lot of support. So I think I have an idea. We could change the tax code. We're gonna have to add this into a reform. And I think if we do a TV address while changing the tax code, then we're canceling out the social aspects of introducing this law. So basically, I think this actually might work. So we're going to call this the Tax Loophole Closure Act, the TLCA. Go ahead and confirm those details. It's going to net us about $45 billion. So this is the tax inspections carried out by officials of the tax authorities range from simple a formal inspection to rectify obvious errors, to an in-depth investigation comparing declarations with external elements. They differ in their effectiveness and lack of popularity. So we're not going to go for frequent and very repressive. We're going to go for regular and repressive, basically closing tax loopholes that exist, especially with companies. So we will create the reform, see how much that support that gets into Congress. So we got 84% of the House of Representatives on our side and 85% of the Senate on our side. So if we go over to creation, or actually go over to revenue, we can go over to, let's go to the financial transactions. And we are going to do a TV address, see the Parliament and People's Position. We're going to add that to the Tax Loophole Closure Act. We're going to add it. And that works. Yep, that does work. Only lose about 10% of the support within the Congress, and we still get a lot of Congress to support our policy. So that is great to see. We can also increase the employer social security payments. Let's see how much support that would get within the Congress. That's about moderate support. Definitely the Republicans wouldn't be behind it, but their influence within the Congress right now, 21 seats in the Senate and 100 seats in the House, along with 51 seats to the independents and 12 seats to the independents in the House. So that is a combined total of about 33 seats that the independents and Republicans had. And we have 51 seats in the House, and 16 seats goes to the Greens, and 70 seats in House, and 214 seats. So we have just barely under a majority in the House of Representatives right now. The majority number is 218. That's the magic number in the House of Representatives to have a majority. So that is why we are forming a coalition with the Green Party coalition in order to govern. Because then on a lot of different aspects, we're going to be agreeing on things with the Greens. So add that to the Tax Loophole Closure Act. We will see we lose a little bit more support, lose Republican support, actually. And I will do another meeting January 16th with Bert Schuster. He is going to help us rally some support with that act, and we also need to go to the next day to see what the reaction to this is going to be. And if I want to increase the company turnover rate, is that going to be that hard? Yes, it is going to be hard, but can we do it by about a quarter? Can we generate a quarter of that? Can we do, let's do 10? How much support are we going to be able to get for that? 52%. So that would be able to pass on its own. That would net us about $68 billion if we were to introduce that. And our deficit right now, actually before the passage of this act, is about 0.37%. So let's go ahead and go to the next day, see what the reaction to that bill is going to be. Hopefully it is not violent. Hopefully we do not have riots in any city. Perfection of fabric, the purchasing power and employment. Apparently people really didn't like that, but we have no protests, no violence. We are the first ones made discovery. Let's go ahead and patent it. Tax on financial transactions. And extreme poverty making progress. This is purchasing power declines is very bad news, and the current situation is already difficult for fellow countrymen, as we acknowledge. Stock markets are empty and people are struggling to pay bills. So let's go ahead and go over to population and let's check on that. GDP per capita is at $62,000. So do we need to do a increase in the civil servant salaries? We could actually shoot to get all of these to about $4,000. We have a federal excess. Is that true? Look at that. We have a federal excess right now. We are now in a surplus as we play. So let's go ahead
Sure.
and go to the next. Let's go ahead
I'd
and
be happy
do a couple
to.
of things. And let's go ahead and get this bill passed and see
No,
what our surplus is going to
Yeah.
be once that is done.
Nope.
No problem.
I'm
sorry.
Nope.
No problem. And that's going to be it for
1 week.
you. So let's go ahead and go to the next day and about the next week, and then let's pass this bill. So I believe Tax Loophole Closure Act. So that's a decree, law on financial transactions and social security payments. Didn't we introduce something else? Did we? No. So that's a tax. Investment in real estate is tax exonerations. So we could actually, how much is that going to cost? Nearly $300 billion. Which would help urbanization and would also help homelessness. If we actually give tax deductions for people getting homes, real estate, that'd be interesting. Says that nothing and no one can change my determination to vote against this bill, and calls on members of the Democratic Union to likewise vote against that piece of legislation. Sorry, sir, that's not what's gonna happen. Let's go ahead and look at our energy situation. 102 terawatts as of right now, and we have several nuclear reactors that are on their way. So let's go ahead and see whenever these are going to be done. They're going to be done soon, and then once they're done, we're gonna institute another 5 with the surplus that we are now carrying as of right now. Let's go ahead and look at our debt situation. We're about to get under 100% of our public debt as a percentage of our GDP. Our next quarterly surplus is set to be $16 billion. We're now paying off our debt with that surplus, 0.05% surplus. Good job.
You're conservative.
Sir, wow, we get a good job rating from our creditors. So does that mean that let's look. We now have a AAA rating on every single credit agency. This is the first time it is the year 2023. I believe the United States lost its straight AAA credit rating back in 2009, 2010, or 2011, in between 2009 and 2011. So the United States of America is now successfully on a AAA status under every single credit rating. So that is a major success on the economic side of things. The United States, again, we are now paying off our debt. We have a credit surplus, and we are now a AAA rating on every single creditor. So that is a major success, major win on the Biden administration, on my administration. Let's just give a round of applause for that successful effort. That is amazing to see that the United States now finally has a AAA credit rating with every single credit agency. Let's go ahead and go over to industry. We are now subsidizing basically everything. Go ahead and take subsidies away from diamonds because we have no way to do that. So what is our oil production looking like? So we have shale oil wells. Let's go ahead and build see if we continue building those, we're probably going to get the environmentalist a party to be against
our governmental
us, so
cell informed.
That's a fun thing about it. We may have to start importing oil, or we could just start expanding oil production. We have not really gone after any oil production in this series, but we haven't really needed to do anything. Apparently, what we're working with right now is actually fine. Vote the bill without restrictions, so that is for the level of tax investigation. So I believe the voting day should be today, and it does. Company taxes swing to the right. An agreement party secretary general must remind you of the goal of a political organization like ours is to be alleviate as much as possible to contributions paid by businesses. That is, of course, if the real intention agreeing with the ideals of the party. Unfortunately, I had to make this decision just because of the economic situation that we are dealing with, as well as we do finally have that AAA credit rating with every agency, but we are still dealing with some sort of inflationary crisis. This is not a crisis as of yet, but we are dealing with inflation. But we have flatlined inflation, so our efforts are paying off. Tax Loophole Closure Act, and that passes. Increased company contributions. You'll see that the increase in contributions is a barrier to our business's competitiveness. For the sake of the economy, it would be better to revise our work and increase company contributions tax rebalancing. Population as a whole has a light tax policy in this country. It is a pity that businesses do not profit from the same advantages, particularly in the industrial area, a true source of job creation and GDP. We will decrease those taxes within the year 2023. We just need to do this until we can get our bearings, I guess. We have a protest in Boise City. 200 people are protesting against government security policy in the city of Boise.
The march has been placed, as you can imagine, under high surveillance. I won't dwell on the esoteric or cloudy demands that they have been reported to us. Just know that up until now, the situation has been under control.
Alright, and we have another protest, looks like in Fresno. Looks like the sects in the country seem to be protesting. We have about 2,000 people in the streets of Fresno, California, that are protesting against the government's security policy. Let's go ahead and prepare the Mentalist Lodge.
The march has been placed, as you can imagine.
And do we have any other protests? We do not.
Although you
Public finances, we do see that our budget is paying off. And we do see that after passing that piece of legislation, we are again now in an official excess. We're in about a $12 billion, nearly $13 billion, about $13 billion federal surplus. That is amazing to see. Yeah, about $12.5 billion. That is our federal surplus. As we get inflation to trickle down and as we pay off our debt, so that debt reimbursement, this is going to be $400 billion that we can allocate to something else, to research, to energy, to defense, possibly. Maybe we can reduce defense a little bit, foreign affairs, etc., etc. So we have, if we can start paying off that debt and getting that, if we can get that number to go down, we can allocate that $400 billion elsewhere. Let's go ahead and look at the economic map, see our economic allies, and then let's go ahead and look at a strategic map. These are strategic allies. Apparently something happened in France. What's going on in France? They still have Macron, which is a centrist, I believe. Oh, we can actually click on other countries. I didn't know that. Huh. So China's allies, your Belarus, Tajikistan, Laos, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Cuba. Russia's allies, they got Azerbaijan, Armenia, Iran, Serbia, Portugal, apparently. I like how Portugal hates them, but then Russia loves them. That's interesting. They also really like Tajikistan, Pakistan, India, Iran, Kazakhstan, Central Asian, except Turkmenistan and Afghanistan. Serbia, it's pretty. They actually have pretty good relations. Apparently, Italy really likes them. Apparently, all of Europe likes each other. What about Turkey? Okay. Okay. Let's go over to comparative maps and let's look. Let's go over to economy. Let's look at growth right now. Apparently, Germany is 4.2. What am I? I'm 130. Germany's 140. UK it's 5% growth. What's our inflation looking like that? Currency $1.33 is 1 British pound. 82% GDP debt, $40,000. GDP per capita, $150,000 in our military, 150,000 people in our military, $2.7 trillion surplus. GDP. What about we need to go ahead and get on with this episode, and we need to go ahead and get to the month of April. The month of April is going to feature a lot of different so we have a couple of space launches that we're going to be looking at in 2023. So we have Artemis is going to be on at the very end of the year, and Orion. Apparently Orion is not ready. Protection against solar and cosmic rays. So let's go ahead and go over to research. Okay, let's go over to space research. Let's go over to Discovery Tree, and let's look at space propulsion, supporting human life in space. And this is going to be a probable outcome in 2023. So this is supporting human life in space and matter sciences. We need to make sure both of those are fully funded, supporting human life and space, in space. And let's go over to research. Matter sciences is already fully funded. So let's go ahead and so I'll go ahead and skip ahead, and I'm gonna look over some of the space launches, and then if we have any upcoming major space launches, I will skip over to that. But if anything happens within the meantime, I will stop there, and then we will continue on with this episode. Okay, so we are back, and so there's a couple of things that we actually did. If you actually were watching that a speed run at Power and Revolution, reaction of the Secretary of Labor, he wanted results Tom Baden is offering them on a plate. And so what we did is that we kind of like concentrated on space research. And so with space research, We're still waiting for the cosmic rays to complete, and we also gave a lot of additional funding to a lot of different programs. So I think we could actually. So I'm gonna give like $2 billion of additional funding to the Axius Vogel program. And so the programs that I actually gave extra funding to, I think the Father Sky. So Father Sky is gonna launch in May, and we have a 0%. We have 0%. Next launch window is 5/13, so we cannot launch any earlier than 5/13. I'm going to do it on the 19th of May, 2023, and that's going to be our launch window. It's going to take a very long time to get there, and so I'm going to go ahead and do an additional $2 billion to the Father Sky program. And then we also gave some additional money to the Europa Lander. The Europa Lander is going to be the mission that lands us on Europa, and then brings home samples of which we will possibly find the microbial organisms that support life. So that means that life does exist on other planets, then that we are not alone. We will try to see that mission through. Hopefully. And then we're gonna go over to. We're also kind of waiting on the protection against cosmic rays, which is going to give us a different set of cards whenever it comes to Mars mission. We can probably try to shoot to get the Mars mission up and running before 2030, so we're way ahead of schedule on that, because the current administration, the previous administration, wants to get us on Mars by 2030. I'm going to shoot to get us on Mars by 2028. So that's going to be the challenge of this administration, possibly the next administration, if I continue this series past 2024. Because that's the thing, I may not continue this series past 2024. If you guys want to see the Brazil series, because I am planning a Brazil series after this series, do you guys want to see me go past 2024, or do you want me to basically wrap this up before 2024, or after, whenever 2024 is done, like the year 2024, basically after the 2024 election, whether we win or lose. I need to go ahead and go over a couple of days just to kind of confirm those details. And then another thing, you actually see where we're at 0.6% deficit, right? And now you even see that it increased whenever I was just talking about it. We're now in an excess 0.13%. Let's go ahead and see that in numbers. We are performing a $30 billion surplus as of right now. That is an amazing thing to see, that we are now operating with a federal surplus. I want to see how much money we can save within this next fiscal year, and I think we're gonna have to spend a little bit of this money. So let's go over to energy, and let's go over to here, and our surplus, our energy surplus is $223 billion. We have 2 nuclear power plants that are still under construction. So let's go ahead and see if we can find out where those are. Can we find out where those are? 2 in a very large country. We can actually find those nuclear power plants. That would be great. Or I could just ignore them and then just go on with our business. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So we're gonna go over to energy. We're gonna invest a little bit more money into the electricity sector. So we're gonna build a few solar plants in South Texas. And we're gonna be spending a little bit of this money. So that lowers it. We can also shoot. Let's go ahead and spend a little bit of this money. Let's do so what is this? That's gonna be 100 and 124. It's gonna be 37 terawatts. So that's about spending like $92 billion on basically the same amount of electricity that we would get if we were to build like 1.5 nuclear power plants. So that's the weird thing about some of these green energy plants. Let's go ahead and invest a little bit of money into offshore. We're gonna do this off of Texas, one off of Texas. 2 billion and 10 billion. Let's build one in Texas and one off California. $5 billion, 26 billion. That's a lot. So that's going to produce us 2 terawatts, 2.4 terawatts. These are going to produce us 2 terawatts each. And then let's build some more 3rd generation nuclear power plants. $15 billion this year. We're going to build this one in North Texas. Let's build another one south of Texarkana. And basically nearly eliminated our entire federal surplus. We can gain it back. We could actually increase. We could increase the petroleum tax, or we could actually start resorting to a carbon tax. That could be a possibility. Let's go ahead and continue going forward and see the reaction to those spending projects. And Belarus, potential nuclear accident. We're gonna refuse that. I really don't like to do that. Excess is 0.1%, 0.01%. And we're gonna basically go to the end of the month and see what we've actually been recording for nearly 40 minutes, 50 minutes. So I think we're gonna go ahead and skip over. If anything happens between now and the end of the month, then we'll discuss it and deal with it. But let's go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and skip over to the end of the month and see what happens. All right, we are now at the end of March, and we are going to warm up into April. April showers bring May flowers, and we are now in the month of April. We should, and even after all those spending projects, we save, or we pay off $24 billion worth of debt. That is crazy to see. That is amazing to see. So this episode was absolutely successful. This episode was the best outlook for the national economy. We successfully stopped inflation from increasing with some increased taxes, as well as an increase of the interest rate. We could actually go for another increase in the interest rate in the next episode. We pay off $24 billion of debt. If you actually look at our debt situation, we're about to get our public debt as a percent of our GDP under 100%. That is a major success. In this episode, we also, as stated many times before, that we now have a straight AAA credit rating with every single credit rating agency, including the Chinese one, Xigong. And then we have a federal surplus as of right now, 0.09%, and we are definitely making that money useful. And we are also, we actually go ahead and look at that. Our debt has basically flatlined. I mean, our debt has flatlined. We're actually paying a little bit of it off, but that is amazing. And then our debt reimbursements, we could actually get it below 2022 levels. So if we could actually get it below 2022 levels by the end of the year, that is going to be an amazing economic outlook on our part. So guys, if you guys like this, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more content like this, hit the bell notification icon so you didn't miss anything else. Share the channel. I want to get the 5,000 subscribers within the next month. I think that is a possible goal. I want to get to 5,000 subscribers by the month of June of 2021. Can we get the 5,000? I don't know. Share the channel, help me out, get the 5,000. Let's do it. So again, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Make sure to tune into the podcast that we're going to be doing and pay attention to my community posts. I'm going to be announcing the name of the podcast. If you guys have any suggestions on what the podcast could be named, if we do not make a name by it by the time this video is posted, please leave your suggestions down below. But pay attention for that. Again, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'll see you guys in the next one.